Greetings from everyone here at Elgin Metals. I'm going to show you a little tutorial on how to do something really kind of neat. In our metal pieces, in our jewelry, what you'll notice if you look carefully is most of them feature some really unique kind of metal things. Thank goodness for metal clay, right? And also, thank goodness for this. This is amazing mold putty, and I'll show you some of this in a minute. I'll show you how to use this. It really lets you do something wonderful and creative, and I hope you're as enthusiastic about it as we are here. Thanks. Okay, so let's get started. What you see here is my great, amazing mold putty that I was telling you about. And what you see here is some really interesting things that I just walked outside and found in my garden. This is a little natural bush. It's wild and it's native to where I live. And I picked little segments of this just because, I don't know if you can see that, but it's just lovely. You know, tiny little flowers. These are the kinds of details that you can get in this putty that makes it just amazing. There are different stages here. This is when it's almost a berry, and I guess the birds will take care of it. And then these are those tiny little flowers that start to bloom. So anyway, I thought I'd do a nature kind of thing. Now what they tell you to do is they tell you to come out with a certain amount, an even amount of the white. And I guess you can't see that, pardon me, because I just put it down on a white cloth, but you can see the yellow, right? I don't measure this. I guess you could. It doesn't have to be quite that scientific. But what I do is try to get pretty close. I can tell by the feel and the, you know, just the bulk of that's pretty darn close. All right. Now, if I were really good at this, I'd make it into some kind of a ball so you could see that if I put them side by side, they are the same. See? All right. Close enough, right? Still not much of a ball. But anyway, then I kind of flatten it out like this. And then I put it together like a layer. And then I break it and kind of knead it back and forth like that. And you can tell that if you wanted to separate them at this point, you couldn't. And that's our advantage. And I don't know how thoroughly you have to mix this. I think the directions say thoroughly, and I try for that. But occasionally I've seen some that I've done or students have done, and there have been little white streaks, and like there's one. I don't think that matters much. I think once you've got that together, then you've got your thing started. Now, this is white and also a textured napkin, so I'm going to move that, and I hope you can see this against this granite surface. I'm going to flatten it just a little bit, not a lot. What I ought to use is probably paper or something on top of that. I could get wax paper, but that's probably good enough, just to give it a smooth texture. And then I'm going to pick up one of these little darlings here and see what I can get. Now they all have beautiful little shapes. I like the way the flowers come off of that, just kind of like that. Now what I really do need though at this point, if you'll excuse me, is I'm going to run over here where I've got some, hopefully some wax paper. Sure enough, here it is. And I'm going to pull out some of that. And then I'm going to use a rolling pin because I want to flatten that stuff in there. Okay, so just a piece of regular wax paper. All right, that's more or less what I want to do. I want those little flowers to come out to the side if possible. I'm going to arrange it just a bit more. Yeah, just about like that. Maybe those leaves will work. Okay, put that on top. And you never really know what you're going to get. Actually, looking at it, I'd kind of like to have a little balance of maybe a leaf here. So I'm just going to stick that there and see if that'll work. All right. Now I'm going to step over to where I have a rolling pin, I hope. And here we go again. And it is a big one. You don't need anything this large. This is really overkill. All right. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of roll. Don't want to bury it in there. Just ever so slightly to make it flat. All right. And you can kind of get an idea of where this is going now. Now things tend to bunch up in the middle, so I'm trying to smooth it out a bit. Another good way to do this would be to put something flat like a card on it, so then you wouldn't get all those little round places. But this works just as well for me. Now I'm going to pull off the wax paper, and you can see our little flower that I just picked in my garden is absolutely embedded in that wonderful little piece of plastic clay here that I've just put down. I'm going to move that over here and give it a second or two. You're supposed to let it cure just a few minutes, and then I think the instructions again on that is something like 20 minutes, and then you're able to pull out this little thing. So we'll fast forward a bit, and in a minute we'll show you what it's like to pull it out. That's a better image, isn't it? Sorry. And I'm going to just come in a little bit. I don't know if you got all that, but come in just a little bit so you can see pretty much what I was talking about a minute ago. Okay? Now I'm going to turn it off, wait 15 minutes, which would be about right, and then we'll come back and see what we've got. Okay? Okay, well, we're back, and as you can see, during the break, I went ahead and set up another one. I had some more little things I pulled out of the garden. This is the one we worked on, and I think, just by meshing on it a little bit on the corners, I think it's about ready. So let's see what we can get. We'll pull the stem up first, and very gently, I don't know if you can see me doing this, but I'm coming up. The little flowers are the most delicate, and as you can see, I got a good percentage of what we want out of there. Now, it probably doesn't look like anything to you at this point because we have to go back over it and we have to pull out those little flowers. I'm going to let it get just a little harder before I do that. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and make a metal mold of it, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But got a nice sensitive. If I could get the camera close enough, I could show you that there's a nice sensitive veining here from the leaf. And honestly, you know, you couldn't make this any better. I mean, you could not draw it or render it or much less carve it any more articulately than what nature has done for us here. So, good on that. We can see where this one is just for the heck of it. A little more recent, of course. Pretty much the same thing as I used before, only a different stage of that same little flower. Just kind of the tiniest little white bells are what those flowers are. And I got a little bit deeper in that, so that might be a little more interesting. And then this, I think, was just a plain chrysanthemum flower or leaf. Kind of lacy leaf, so we'll see what kind of pattern that makes. Aha! I'm happy with both those. Well, so next time we do this, next time you see these things, you'll see me make some metal clay and start a piece of jewelry, okay? Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but I pulled this over so you can get a better idea of what that mold is starting to look like. You see all those tiny little veins and little articulations of shape. Those will look even better on metal, I promise you. Can hardly wait to see what happens.